This is a story I wrote called John and the Snail. There was once a boy named John. John lived with his mom in Canada. One day, John went on a brisk late morning walk. His walk was soon interrupted when a snail was right in the middle of his path. "Hello, Snail. How do you do? You're awful far from home," John said with a sneer. The snail did not reply, because it is a snail, and snails cannot talk. John picked up the snail and gave him a quick and gentle pet. John took the snail back home, and they quickly became best friends. Over the coming weeks, John and the snail became like peas in a pod. Nothing could separate them. Nothing except John's mom. You see, John's mom hated the snail. In fact, she hated all snails due to her severe allergies. John and his snail became closer, and sadly, this meant him and his mom grew farther apart. Eventually, John graduated kindergarten and moved to LA, Los Angeles, with his snail to pursue their dreams of fame. Time passed for John and his snail, and no opportunities came up for work. John's savings dwindled, and the life they dreamed about in LA was not as glamorous as it seemed it would be. Then, opportunity struck, and John and the snail got offered a lead role in a big picture movie. The only problem was, it was the same part, and only one of them could get it. John and the snail fought their first big fight over who deserves the part more, and neither of them could decide, so they decided they should both turn down the roles and wait for a new opportunity, because their intimate relationship was more important to them than fame and glory. They pinky promised they would both step down from the life-changing offer. After John stepped down from the opportunity of a lifetime, he felt good. He had done the right thing. He wouldn't let anything separate him and the snail. They were like peas in a pod. Unfortunately, the snail's intentions were not the same. He let himself become consumed by greed, so much so that he took the role instead of stepping down like he pinky promised John. When John found out the snail betrayed him, he was beyond hurt. He felt like their trust and friendship was broken. The snail soon moved out without ever saying a word to John. They both knew their once unbreakable friendship was now shattered like a vase. Without the snail's half of the rent, John was unable to pay, and John was kicked out of his house in LA. With nowhere else to go, John returned home to Canada, hopeful his mom would take him back in. John glumly sauntered up the old familiar pathway to the front door of his mom's house. Before John could even make it up to the door, his mom burst through the front door with open arms. "John, you're back!" his mom gleefully yelled as she ran to him and gave him the biggest hug of John's life. "Mom, aren't you upset? I spent all my money to pursue a foolish life of fame," John asked, confused. "Of course not, John. I can never be angry at you. Every day I waited for you to return. I knew nothing could separate us. We are like peas in a pod. Even if one pea leaves the pod, it's still always from that pod. It's always welcome back in the pod," his mom said. "I don't think you know how peas work, Mom," John said. John and his mom broke out into laughter and headed inside, where John was greeted by his favorite meal of pizza pockets and lemonade. Even though John left his mom for his friend, his mom still loved him, because nothing can break the love between a mother and her child. The end.